Morena tato, I don't know what happened then. Welcome everybody. Welcome to Ōtorohanga District Council meeting. But before we start the meeting, I'll just hand over to Tanya for a couple of acknowledgements.
Morena koutou, and I'm going to hand over to Graham to do that.
Yeah, thanks, Tanya. I just want to take this opportunity just to acknowledge three of my my staff. So last week we had the annual ALGM conference in Wellington. So ALGM stands for an acronym for Association of Local Government Information Managers, and so we had a number of staff attend this conference, and they had an awards night on the Wednesday night. The conference itself is there's a whole heap of vendors and that come to this conference, and they set up these stalls in the main area. And so Council Bill recently engaged a company called Flowingly, which is a process mapping tool, and Rebecca and Jess have been working on a number of process maps, and one of the first ones they did was around our Lagoima process. And so Flowingly was so proud of the work that our council had done, is that they, and Jess can hold it up, is that they made it.
Going straight over a guy.
They made it into a towel, which they had in their little section, which they were giving out to
150 of these got given away on the way.
Yeah. So also as part of this conference, some councillors may be aware that Billy was former president of ALGM, and he's been on the ALGM board for many years. So he was made a life member of ALGM. And at the awards night itself on the Wednesday night, in front of 500 people and glittering lights, Jess received an award. And I'm going to let her explain to council what it was all about.
Morning, team. So the award that I got was a grant training scholarship for IM management. So pretty much I wrote in and put forward that I wanted this training because we've got this project coming up. We're redoing our whole document management system. And I pretty much said, it's just me and I really need some help. And I would love this money to get some training and help train our staff so we can win the project in 2 years' time. And they must have really liked my article because they gave it to me. So watch this space. 2 years' time, we're bringing home the project award. Also, I've told Billy and Graham they are not allowed to retire until we get that prize.
Awesome. Congratulations, Jess. Okay, moving on to page 2 of your agenda. If you could join me for the opening karakia, please. Mā te whakapono, mā te whumanako, mā te whakiro, mā te whakarongo, mā te mahitahi, mā te mana wanui, mā te aroha, ka taia e tātou. Kia ora. We have no apologies today's meeting, which is good to see full attendance here today. And we do have someone in the public forum that wishes to speak for 5 or 10 minutes. Bruce, if you'd like to come up to one of the microphones and just push on the right button. Welcome.
Hi everybody, I'm Bruce Falk, a 40 years plus Riruru resident, and we're still there farming with the family now. I'm here to speak regarding the proposal put forward by Liz Cowan to move the Riruru school building to Ōtorohanga town. Please bear in mind that several years back, Liz Cowan wanted to take the building to her house for its salvation. Firstly, a bit of history on this building and reserve since I arrived in 1983. The building and the site as you see it now is far better than it was 40 years ago. The site, including the building, was all overgrown and dilapidated. It provided a secluded area for bad things, including growing drugs, a druggie hangout, a stolen car dump, rubbish dump, and general dubious activities. Murray Cowan, who attended that school for all his primary school days, and myself, took the job of cleaning up the site and re-fencing it. We cut and sold logs off the site to fund the tidy up and the fencing. The appropriate era-style gates you see and rails were made by my hands from my timber from my stock. As the caretaker for 15 years, I grazed the reserve with sheep and kept it tidy with no fire hazard. I dropped no long dry grass. I organised the first painting of the building, fixed the rotten timbers, and re-roofed the building at my personal cost sometime later. After a district meeting, I removed the dilapidated swimming pool and buildings and the tennis court with my machinery at my cost, with no cost to the council and no help from other residents. During those 15 years, the council was asked to contribute nothing. As far as I'm aware, it didn't contribute at all. It didn't need to. It is, as you see on the sign on the school building, the Rewa School. That's what it says, and that's what it is. It's Rewa School. We believe it should stay in Rewa for that very reason. Its history is best served and saved on the site. It is not unloved, and it is very special, which may be what makes it attractive to others. However, the current system means it is a financial liability to the council, apparently. Currently, the building is locked with no apparent access system available for locals and visitors to be able to look inside and see and feel the history. There needs to be a system of a key and an accessible location available for genuine visitors. Where else can you see on site how schooling was 100 to 150 years ago in remote areas? If the council want to keep responsibility for the school, that's okay, but please leave it where it is, possibly with involvement of the Historical Society on site. I don't come here with lots of signatures, but instead with loads of common sense and the backing of our 3 generations of Bolts, who are currently farming together as Bolt Trust at Rewa. Probably half the family homes in the Rewa school catchment area are on our land and house either members of our family or staff who work for Bolt Trust. My proposal is this. Bruce Bolt and Bolt Trust become the caretakers of Rewa school building and grass area of the recreational reserve. We would graze the grass with sheep and only when required, which means not always sheep on the site. This would mean no long dry grass around the school buildings as a fire hazard, which does happen currently regularly. We would look after the fences and their upkeep. We would look after the school building, keep it weather-tight and intact, and organise painting of said building as required. We would provide a suitable handy key service for suitable visitors to the building. The road frontage would, I imagine, still be mown by the Council Road Edge mowing contractors as it is now. We would, however, not be responsible in any way for the native tree areas and the condition of the trees or weeds in those areas, as that is not our area of expertise. Possibly the Historical Society could aid with the building of strategic R&M on the current site, if they are keen to see it preserved, as it is an historical site. We offer this at no cost to the council. We are honest and trustworthy. We are builders, not wreckers. We are givers, not takers. We are asking for no financial assistance from council, just council's backing to keep the Rewa School building in Rewa as the Rewa School. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for your time. Any questions for Bruce, councillors? Yes, councillor Jeffries.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Bruce. Congratulations on your passion for wanting to retain some local history there. I can understand that. Just as a matter of interest, is the building empty, or are there any remnants of the school left inside the building at all?
Blackboards,
Yeah.
like they used to be.
Yep.
School forms, about 3 long forms, the kids sat on.
Yep.
Can you remember?
Okay.
A couple of very small chairs, but no furniture as such. One dilapidated cabinet, which probably doesn't date back to the school itself. Probably late,
Right.
but definitely has to be a school.
And is the building itself insured?
It's an historic building,
Yes.
so council should have some record on that.
Might be
I haven't been involved with it for several years.
right.
But that's really,
Well, that might be something that we can knock into for you anyway, perhaps. Yeah. No, very good. Oh, well, I congratulate you on the presentation. Thank you.
Councillor Johnston.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Bruce, for update. Much appreciated. Does somebody mow the ground at the moment, or how does the grass control at the moment?
well, it gets long. They mow it. I don't know who mows or what occasionally in the summer, solar past a couple of times. I'm not even sure who it is.
Yeah, I
Where
think
they go.
it was it Craig
He
Blackburn a while
I've
back?
never seen him do it, actually,
Okay,
not for a long time. And the bales go somewhere out to wet. But the grass sort of gets long, and the council mowed it last time. But it gets long around the school building, which is a fire hydrant, trees being close to the fire hydrant. And at the moment, it's been mowed, but that whole area has sort of got dry grass over it too. So because it's not mown regularly, it's not like this. It comes up and down, dry grass line in the ground. So sheep keep it. We have sheep that go, the mob that go around all our driveways, and so it would be a regular thing whenever, and the grass would stay short. It'd be far better than the grass. I walked the grass the other day.
Councillor Dow.
Just one question, Bruce. Yeah, thanks for looking after your ewes, your passion. Do you like it? That's I'm just thinking about it getting used, like so basically the real residents. Like obviously not many people are using it at the moment. That's all. But
It probably would get more use if it wasn't for an unfortunate sort of camp across the road. With barky dogs and
yeah,
various other things. It definitely have a place to take children.
yeah,
To have picnics, see what school rooms are like, particularly if you could. Jeffrey's suggestion of furnishing it or something. Yeah, we used to have picnics and barbecues and stuff when my kids were younger.
Yeah.
So, not that age anymore. Not so I think we are.
great town meetings.
Yes.
Thanks, Bruce.
Any further questions, councillors? Bruce, thanks for your time for coming along and giving us an update on the Rural River School. We appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity. I look forward to your vote. Just like.
Right, councillors, moving on. There is no late agenda items. Is there any councillors who feel the need to declare a conflict of interest in any of today's agendas? Thank you. Moving on to the confirmation of minutes dated 22nd October 2024. Can I have a mover and a seconder for those, please? First move Councillor Tamaki, secondly Councillor Johnson. Any matters arising from those minutes? Okay, moving on to the receipts of the minutes of the Ōtorohanga Community Board dated 4th of November. Move for a second of those. Move Councillor Christensen, second Councillor Dow. And moving on to the Kawhia Community Board meeting minutes dated 7th of November 2024. To move the receipt of those, Councillor Jeffries, thank you. Second Councillor Prendergast. All in favour? Carried, thank you. Moving on to my verbal report. Since the last council meeting, I've been a part of the Chief Executive Review Committee. Went to the Elevate Economic Development Forum down at the club, which was an excellent day. Some really good speakers down there, and it's worthwhile attending. I went to the final Tuia Wānanga of the year in Lower Hutt, where I was speaking. I've been to Pairoa, along with the Chief Executive, to the Pulphery of David Spears as the new Chief Executive of Hauraki District Council. Been to the airport AGM, been with the council market assessors. I went to the farewell at the police station of Sergeant Jimmy Walker. And tomorrow afternoon, we've got the interviews for the new position, the candidates for the new position, which will be interesting. Went to Zone 2 meeting at the Hamilton Gardens. There's walks and tours and all sorts of opportunities, but only the fools went on the walks because it was so wet. Like I walked about 15 metres and looked down at my shoes at that point. I thought, no, I'm not going any further. I went back inside. So, yes, the fools are smiling. so wet. We've had a Kiwi House meeting. Tanya and I have been down there on site to meet with the Kiwi House committee to look at plans for the future. Had a catch up with the Regional Council Chair, Pamela Story. Been to a combined sector meeting in RMP down in Wellington last week. I had these 4 ladies come and visit me last week as well, which was kind of hard case. They're all from Ōtorohanga. They went to school here in the 70s, live in different parts of the country. They dressed up in their little reunion T-shirts and they walked in convoy and they wanted to spend 15 minutes with the mayor and have a catch up. So I had half an hour with them and it was really fun. It was great. And then yesterday we went to the Mayoral Forum over in Cambridge. So I'd just like to move that my report be received. Seconded Councillor Willison, all in favour?
Right.
Carried.
Can I just
Councillor
ask-
Jeffries.
Yeah, sorry, Your Worship. Just one question. About Jimmy Walker's retirement. And did you mention that there are interviews tomorrow? Did you say for his replacement? Are you aware of anything that's happening out Kawhia way in terms of interviewing for replacements out there?
It's not happening until next year, I understand.
Next year? Okay. Yeah.
I did catch up with it's Constable Morgan yesterday.
Oh, yes.
The intention of having another conversation later on in the afternoon yesterday, but I got tied up with a meeting with Minister in here, so I didn't give a chance.
She's a very forthright young woman.
Yeah, no, she seems, seems so.
Okay, no,
Very good.
thanks.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, moving on, councillors, to item 191. Adoption of schedule of meetings on page 36. Over to you, Tanya.
Through Your Worship. We have to adopt a schedule of meetings under Lagoima before the end of the previous calendar year for the for the next calendar year. So quite a comprehensive list that Kaya has put together for us. Just one thing that we had signalled earlier, that we may need a council meeting on the 28th of January. Mark and Nadia and I are working on the waters project, have decided that we don't need that meeting. We will bring a report to the February meeting. So that was taken out, and so just happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? Everybody appears to be happy, Tanya. So on that note, we'll go for the adoption of schedule of meetings. That the Ōtorohanga District Council A, adopt the following schedule of meetings for 2025 as listed, and B, delegates to the Chief Executive the ability to alter the schedule of ordinary meetings in consultation with the relevant chair as required. We have Councillor Williams, secondly Councillor Hughes, all in favour? Hence carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 192, Ōtorohanga Outdoor Fitness Station, Waipa Esplanade. Jared, that is on page 40, councillors. Welcome, Jared.
Kia ora, everyone. Through you, your worship, I will just give a quick brief overview, take my report as read, and then we'll open up for any questions. Last month, a report was taken to the Ōtorohanga Community Board around the installation of a fitness station on Waipa Esplanade. This was a community board-led project or initiative, it's probably a better word, and the capital funding for this would come from the Ōtorohanga Community Board Fund. And council would need to approve the construction on council land and the operational costs, which includes depreciation and general operational costs as well. So there's pictures of the general outline in the report and the location, and I'll open up for anyone with any questions.
Thanks, Jared. It looks good. Something we've been discussing for years. So thanks, Katrina, for getting this across the line. Sorry, I should say Councillor Christensen of this environment. I didn't actually see, I may have overlooked, was there a date in terms of expected construction, Jared?
There wasn't a date, but we would look early next year to progress this and get everything underway. So we would get a couple more quotes just to make sure the pricing is good where we want it, then we could get underway.
Thank you, Councillor Dow.
Yeah, that was my question, really. Is there going to be a finish date? Because I know when I was on community board, we approved like lights in the Main Street still haven't happened. That was about 4 years ago. But should these recommendations come with some sort of finish date, or we just resolution register that we approve? Yeah. So it keeps
Through you, your worship, I think the change has been that we now have a resolutions register to kind of keep us focused on those things rather than them just, slipping away.
Look forward to being healthy and running around on poles.
Yeah, we know
Maybe.
the lights one has been kind of tricky because it's not our road, but we're progressing that one too.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillors? Councillor Jeffries?
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Jared, just a couple of quick ones. There was comment in here about the local gyms and whether this was going to be seen as competition, if you like, to them. Have they you've spoken to them? Like, is
Through your worship, no, we haven't been out and spoken with them. That it's been through the public agenda as it was on the Ōtorohanga Community Board, so there was no one come to us with anything on that.
okay?
Thank you.
And the only other one was the fact that it's a fitness station as opposed to, so you'll go to one place and do it all there as opposed to the one that's been proposed out of Carnby where you'll have different things along trail, so, yeah.
Through
Is
your
there
worship.
any reason why it was all in one place?
A couple of reasons. And one of the reasons is the location right next to the Stop Bank pathway. The reason is you do a little bit of fitness, you run up your pathway, you come back. If you want to set yourself a big target, we're also trying, there may be a chance to add to this later on through our reserve strategy that's currently out for consultation. So we were very mindful of not affecting that too much as well. So as a starting point, like the one in Carpia, there is a main starting point always with a couple of bits of equipment, and then it spreads from there. So this will have the chance or the possibility to be added onto around the town later on if it's successful.
Thanks, Jared. Councillor Christensen.
Just so everyone knows, the community board has also made a recommendation to the incoming community board next year to look into more fitness stations around. This was probably more cost effective to do one big one than lots of little ones. And also along the Stock Bank, obviously you can't put them on top and you can't put them, and we're going out for tender at the moment, I think, for mowing. So you can't actually put them down in that strip that's going to get mown because, I mean, that's just a pain for contractors. So yeah, it just seems like the easiest, cheapest, and to get a project over the line. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Councillor Johnston.
Oh, you just, I think it's a great idea, or awesome idea, and thanks for your work on that. But and I'm sure the community board has discussed this at length, but it seems such a hidden. Is there any, we're going to decide the road to let people know it's down there, or yeah, just give it a bit of publicity?
Another reason for that spot is that another project that the community board's going to look into next year is a dog agility station, which is in the dog park right across the car park from the fitness station. There's also a grove of citrus trees planted there now, so it's almost like you park and there's a little hub. There's dogs, there's fitness, there's a little bit of kai, and then you've got the motorhome caravan association there right there too. So it is, yeah, it's almost like a new little hub. So I'm pretty sure people will know it's there. Anyone that uses the track, we're going past it. So.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillors? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jared. We have the resolution in front of us that Ōtorohanga District Council approve the recommendation from the Ōtorohanga Community Board to grant approval for construction of the fitness station on Waipa Esplanade. B, approve the recommendation from the Ōtorohanga Community Board to increase funding for an additional $2,500 per year to the Ōtorohanga Parks and Reserves operating budget to maintain these additional assets. And C, approve the recommendation from the Ōtorohanga Community Board for the addition of the fitness station to the council asset register, including in the annual depreciation calculations, currently estimated at $2,500 per annum. Moved and seconded, moved Councillor Christensen, second Councillor Dow, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you, Jared. Good luck.
Thank you.
Right, moving on to item 193, Ōtorohanga District Council Strategic Risk Register, October 2024. Graham.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, so the purpose of this report is for council to adopt our annual update of our strategic risk register. This was endorsed by our Risk and Assurance Committee at their October meeting. I'll take it as read, but just I guess some highlights. We've reduced the number of strategic risks from 11 to 7. This has largely been brought about more around consolidation of some of those risks rather than reducing the number of risks. The appendices that are attached to this report demonstrate how we move from the inherent risk to the mitigated risk, which is with our current controls in place. It also in Appendix 2 looks at the likelihood of those risks as well. And Appendix 3 just basically just gives a summary of those risks. Moving forward, at the quarterly risk and insurance meeting, we'll do a deep dive into two of those risks. The risk insurance meeting proposed for next month, we're looking at organisational capacity and legislative compliance. We'll do a deep dive into both of those risks. So happy to take any questions, and I'm sure between myself and Ross, if we need to, we can cover them off.
Thanks, Grant. No, it's really good to have this in front of us, and those deep dives are really important. Questions, councillors?
Just a couple of comments. Thank you, Graham, for the report. Just so the council, the rest of the councillors are aware, yes, there will be some what they call deep dive assessments of the register over the next 12 months. And the ones that were removed from the 2023 register were the cyber attack, inflation costs, consent renewals, and business continuity, I think. But as Graham said, some of those have already sort of been wound up into some of the other risks. So this is an important document for council, and I believe that with our current chairman, we've been pretty thorough in the way in which we've gone through and had a look at these risks. So happy to take any questions from anyone on that.
Thank you, councillor. Any further questions? Let's count it down.
I got one. Just looking through on that appendix 2. It's got high for 3 waters things, but it's got 3 waters will become responsible for new water. Says that was just an assumption made in the past. It's on page 55. Consent renewal national standards, and it's got the high risk indeed. That's not a given, is it? Like that's just perceived.
Yeah, it's a fair comment, and I guess those comments we probably originally put in place in 2023 when we the previous government. But I guess we're still with what Gita would have done well. I mean, there's still potentially going to be some change there. How that's going to look is still.
Assume it's a moving document anyway.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, councillor. Okay, we have the resolution in front of us that the Ōtorohanga District Council Strategic Risk Register October 2024 is adopted. Moved councillor Jeffries, seconded councillor Hughes. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 194, consideration of Ōtorohanga District Council as an anchor organisation. Ross, and that's on page 56.
Thank you, Worship, Laura and the councillors. So we've been on a little bit of a journey with this concept for a wee while now. So it's been the subject of several workshops and it's made its way into the Chief Executive's KPIs and by association mine. And it also aligns with the outcome of the Future for Local Government review. So many respects, what's presented to you today and the journey we've been on gives effect to council's position as you articulated through that process. Look, I don't intend to go into any detail, but I just want to make a couple of points. The first is, in terms of one of the 4 key elements that defines an equal organisation, there's reference to building community wealth. So LGNZ through the Arcona platform have a good webinar on community wealth building if anyone's interested. So do take a look at that. When we last discussed the framework as it was then, there were 6 elements. So that was earlier this year. So since then, we, as in the leadership team, have been looking at this and believed that there was room for a further element, which we've labelled development. So that's applying regulatory controls in a way that enables appropriate growth and development. So you now have 7 instead of 6, if that's your desire when you come to adopt it. And then attached to the framework is the work program. And originally the thinking, or at least my thinking, was we could knock this off in 3 years. But when we looked at, with the help of my colleagues, the amount of work that was involved, we took a more cautious approach and suggested perhaps we take 5 years. And if we can complete this sooner, then great, but we don't want to overpromise and under deliver. You'll see that in the immediate term, a priority in the program is ensuring that our procurement processes and arrangements are appropriately aligned with being an anchor organisation. So that will be the first cab out of the rank. And the first step in that process is a comprehensive analysis of our spend. So where we purchase goods and services will give us a really good starting point in terms of where the opportunities lie for building local capability and capacity where there are opportunities to do that. And we know from work that's been done elsewhere, and particularly overseas, that applying that lens to a council's procurement does shift the focus of spend away from regionally and nationally to locally. So that's a positive. And we are going to be supported in that process with the assistance of CoLab's procurement team. So we are part of a shared service arrangement, which is inherent in the framework and the implementation plan anyway. So that's good. So we'll be cracking on with that shortly. And you'll see other areas in the work program that are based on or reliant on shared service activities. And I'll just finish, Your Worship, with the last point. So some of the actions that are contained in the program have other specific delivery pathways, such as through the Economic Wellbeing Action Plan, which Nadi will be covering actually in the next item. So it all does fit together. So don't look at this program as a standalone piece of work. While it's there and can be referenced as such, there are activities and actions that are underway already or proposed for delivery through other implementation plans. So happy to take any questions you wish.
Awesome, thanks Ross. Firstly, I'd like to commend you on the report. I think it's awesome. And I'm also pleased, I was talking to Tanya this morning about, I'm pleased it's over 5 years, not 3. I think you guys would have been choking on 3 years because it's a heap of work that's you've got in front of you there. I liked it enough that I said to Tanya this morning that I'd like to share it with Minister Ups, because I had a meeting with her yesterday asking what we're doing and the well-being of our community. And I think that document goes a long way to say what we're, as a holistic view of what we are actually doing and proposing to do in the future. So thank you. Questions, councillors? Councillor Brinkhouse.
Not a question as such through you. Great, really loved it, brought so much together for the work that we've been doing. But I just respectfully ask that we've got the abbreviation in or together. Just so it's just for us trying to get our kids around it. That's just put the two together. That's all I would ask.
Okay.
Apart from that, it's very exciting. And I totally agree with the idea.
Yeah, thanks, Ross. I think it's awesome. Like we should be. My thinking is people in the district don't have a choice who they pay their rates to, but council has a choice how they spend the rates money, which is great. My question is more, I'm thinking of Waikato Water done well. Basically, we're on anchor, we're looking at localism, or so to speak. What weighting do we put in? Basically, we would be keeping all water in house if we were using it as anchor as our metrics, but that's same as tenders, I suppose. You know, there's going to be, is there some sort of weighting that you, so that's a trick question.
It's right, no, through you, if I understand right, through you, Bishop. I think that'll be something we bring back to you around what sort of policy settings you want for things like procurement.
Yeah.
I don't believe that that's something that staff make the decision about. Once you've made it, then we implement it.
Yeah, that's
But if you want us to give weighting to locals, we will present to you the advantages of doing that and the risks of doing that, so that you can weigh it out. In terms of waters, there's never been any doubt that we don't need local people on the ground to run our water.
Yeah.
So while it might be, if we move to a collaborative model, there might be a centralised somewhere where an entity works out of. We've got water schemes locally. We've got them here, South Waikato, Taupo, like all over the place. So in terms of locals being employed and contractors needing, you kind of need people on the spot when those things turn bad. So the workforce.
You'll have to get head office will be here.
Yeah.
So that's done by the Ōtorohanga District Council, whereas that's just something to think about.
Yeah, it is, exactly.
And that's what I was wondering about the waiting thing, but I guess if that's going to be elected members to make that decision, that's it's cool. But no, it's go for it.
Well, Rodney's actually raised a very similar issue to the one that I was interested in as well, and that's preferred suppliers. And I'm very much a supporter of trying to do as much as we can locally, putting the money back into the local economy. So I guess at some stage, would that list of preferred suppliers be available to view, or are we able to have a look at that?
So through your worship, two things. One is procurement is one of your policies. So not only will you get to look at the settings, you will look at the whole policy and the processes around that. In terms of preferred suppliers, we do have lists at the moment. So if there's an interest around looking at those, and I'm sure we can make those available. So we are part of a regional procurement initiative as well. So there are some services that we procure via that regional arrangement, simply because there aren't any service providers available locally. So they tend to be some of the specialist consultants and others in construction.
Yeah, I would assume, Ross, that list would be mainly, or comprised mainly of tradespeople and contractors, as opposed to, say, IT specialists or.
It's both.
It's both.
So, yeah. So there's a specialist, I'll use the term consultancy. Procurement arrangement that CoLab coordinate on behalf of all of the councils. So some of the projects that we've been working through with you, the consultants engaged have been engaged via that shared service arrangement, which means we don't have to go out to the market. That pre-testing and qualification has already been done through the shared service process, and we get a preferential rate as a result of that.
This is probably a rather flippant comment, but given the angst that we went through just recently with our auditors and the cost of having audit done, I guess we're legislated, we're required to do it through the audit office, but we've got 3 accounting firms, 3 in town, And I'm sure that one of them could be quite interested in doing the audit for the council, possibly. So I just say, would we extend the brief to include that type of activity? That's all. Yeah.
I think the short answer is those
Yeah.
arrangements are set in statute by the government through the Office of the Auditor General. So
It almost goes against the localism thing, doesn't it?
But I think the other point inherent is in the program, hopefully you'll recognise one area of focus is building, working with our local businesses to build capability and capacity. So not only to engage in the procurement process, but ultimately to have the staff and the skills and experience within their own organisations that some of the work that we have to source elsewhere may be in future sourced locally.
As you mentioned in the document, Ross, the training of the tendering process as well. So that will change your list of suppliers as time goes on as well. That'll be evolving. Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, I'm really enthused to hear that, and it's an ongoing conversation I've had with Nadia over time about, having some sort of relationship with our local contractors, whether they are up to it or not, give them the opportunity to tender and know that the tenders are coming up. But more importantly, just something I picked up at our rural and provincial meeting on Friday was about being prepared for emergency events before they happen. And part of that is having a group of contractors who feel some sort of affiliation to council. And if we did have major slips all over the place, they would be, available on the phone to see whether they could help us open roads, that type of thing. So just the sort of building a team approach to, how the men with the machines work in our district.
And we do, through your worship, through community response plans, have that information.
It's not even through your worship, it's not even in civil defence emergencies. So for example, the LTSC wall, when that took some impact recently and crumbled, we had Ross Stockery on site straight away. So I signed off a procurement exemption, and basically the next day they were there fixing it. So we do have those relationships. And also eyes and ears on the ground, people who know our infrastructure and can see when something's happened, let us know, because we're not always out there. And we get them on site straight away with those exemptions.
Thank you, Tanya. Councillor Tamaki.
Through your worship. Just a question. So when the procurement policy comes up, it would be quite helpful that when we word or when we're looking at some of the wording, the preferred clarity around the word preferred and the shared, all of those kind of funny little, I'm just trying to get it right in my brain, because I often hear it when we talk about, locals didn't get the job, but then sometimes when you actually read it, it doesn't say. So would that be helpful that we actually have the right language going into those things, so we don't backtrack again on all the, why didn't the local get it, why didn't
So I guess my initial comment is I would anticipate the wording in a new policy or an updated policy would be more enabling and perhaps a little more directive than our current policy. I would suggest that's probably best work through a series of workshops rather than just coming with a report from the outset, so we can start to look at your expectations around those settings and the language that's used.
Thanks, Ross. So we have a resolution in front of us that the Ōtorohanga District Council confirms its role as an anchor organisation for its communities and adopts the Te Punga o Te Hapori, anchor of the community framework and 5-year work program, and B, request the Chief Executive report on implementation progress at least annually. I'd like to move that. Second to Councillor Williams. All in favour? Yes, carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 195, Economic Wellbeing Implementation Plan 2024. Nadia, page 71, councillors.
Tēnā koutou, te komātua me ngā kaikonihira. Nice to be in front of you again. So the first item of two that I have the pleasure of presenting today is the Economic Wellbeing Implementation Plan. For the most part, I will take it as read, but just maybe point out a few things in there. As you would have read in the implementation plan, it has prioritised and captured some, but not all of the actions within the strategy. And it's really just focusing on the first 3 years of the LTP. The plan has also incorporated actions from Te Punga o Te Hapere, anchor of the community, that naturally align with the economic wellbeing strategy and are also within those first 3 years. The only other point that I will mention is that Elevate looking at this week, so we haven't been able to get it in front of them previously. And for that reason, and for the fact that it's a new strategy and a new implementation plan, I expect that there will be some refinement and involvement and development as we go along in the next 3 years before we do a full review as part of the long term. But other than that, I'm quite happy to take any questions you have of it.
Thanks, Nadia. Again, a really good report, and it's really good to see the clarity around who the partners are they're working with. And yeah, it's good. It's great reading. Questions, councillors?
I just a couple. You just mentioned the Elevate one, but I was just wondering, because it actually hasn't been in front of us or in front of Elevate, the starting time frame, you've got 24, 25. Can it not be 25, 26? Because they're actually quite biggie ones, those tourism, pulling all that stuff together. That would be my first comment. And then my second comment would be like, how do we measure? Like there's no column on here for measuring the outcomes. Like how do we know? You know, it's all very well saying, well, that's our partner and this is what we're doing, but I don't see how we're going to measure it out the other end.
Thank you, councillor. So yeah, the starting dates will be a conversation between Elevate and us, and if they can't or don't think that they'll be able to deliver that in the last half of the 24-25 year, then absolutely we can move that to another year. In terms of measurement, my thinking, as mentioned in the report, was that we'd come back to you at the end of every year and report back as to the action. So some of them are more action orientated than measures. If you're thinking a measurement in particular, such as data measurement, is there one in there in particular that you're thinking is metrics than it is reporting?
Yeah, it's nothing in particular. I mean, I just go back to, we've got in our previous report measures, like the outcomes that are going to come out of doing the actions and stuff. So the way my head thinks, it says what our actions are, but how do we know we're achieving them?
Yeah, I can take that on board. Thank you, councillor, and incorporate that into the report back.
Thanks, councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Nadia. It's great reporting, awesome chart too. But I was just in a mission, I was sort of noting, especially in the first one, about don't mention BTO at all. We're a big employer in the district, provide a health service. Is it because it's not needed? I mean, they need help, or it'd be nice to have some sort of, it's a community, organisation. Is there, is it, I just had noticed that it's not mentioned here, but the other one too is the Kiwi House. I mean, is there any way that we could tie in somewhere where we can help getting more people through the door?
There is a Kiwi House action within there, and I guess the detail of some of these actions, which are quite high level and are really just copy paste from what's in the strategy itself still need to be further developed in the detail within them. And I can take another look at this and see where a natural alignment with Betty Home and supporting Betty Home. That's something.
Okay, thank you.
One little quick question. So you know that like, it's about 24, 25, so it's not obviously not a calendar year. So are you June to June or you?
Yes, so most of our work, because it aligns with our budgets and our finances, the financial year, so it's July through to June. So that's the 24-25. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadia. So we have a resolution which is that Ōtorohanga District Council endorse the Economic Wellbeing Implementation Campaign 2024 report and attach Economic Wellbeing Implementation Plan. Moved by Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Jeffries. All in favour? It's carried. Stay there, Nadia. Moving on to item 196.
Yes, for Owen.
Which is the annual satisfaction survey.
Yeah.
On page 77.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is our third annual resident survey, which has allowed us to see some really good tracking of data on satisfaction and perception of our services, assets, performance and quality of our relationships. While there was a small dip in a couple of the areas which are identified in 4.9 of the report, I think Council, both staff and elected members, should be proud of the overall feedback, with the lowest percentage of satisfaction being 85% collectively. So well done. If I may just highlight a couple of things within the report itself, 4.7. I noted the change to the way in which our year-on-year data is presented. What this does is give us some consistency across our reporting, not only in this report, but in our annual report. And it gives a clear indication of those that are satisfied and those that are dissatisfied versus those that don't know. In 4.8, I thought it was important to pull out the improvements suggested by those who specifically were dissatisfied with the two areas and contributed to that decline in satisfaction, so that being the variety of parks and reserves and the satisfaction with council's communication. Regarding the latter, the council communication, I think just to note the feedback from two respondents suggesting more direct engagement was in reference to both elected members and staff. But once again, that's two respondents of everybody. And lastly, there was a little bit of a formatting issue in the report with 4.16, which should have been a bullet point, not a number. Other than that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Nadia. Always an ongoing challenge getting the people to respond to the community, but I think you've really got a good balance here of the positive and the areas of change that will improve that are needed. It's really good. I do have a smile to myself when I'm looking at the housing for the elderly. There's some are so really happy, and others that are in identical units aren't happy at all. So whether it's that grumpy old man syndrome's coming in, I'm not really sure. So, but yeah, it's really good to get an overview. Obviously, that we do get a greater number of respondents, then our accuracy levels improve. So yeah, I'm sure there's going to be new innovative ways that we consider going forward to ensure we get greater engagement. I'll hand over to Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, thank you, Bishop. Not so much a question, Nadia, just a comment more than anything. I was sort of a bit surprised about the decrease in the communication satisfaction, because if anything, I think it's better than it's ever been. So, you know, like that there's always information out there. So that sort of surprised me a little that you would get some sort of, even though it's small, it's still there. But so I was a little bit surprised about that.
Yeah, through you, Your Worship, I recall when we had Elizabeth come and talk to us about communication and the bell curve of satisfaction, or even the bell curve of who you reach and who cares, kind of thing. So I kind of draw a little bit on that, but that's part of the reason why for both of those I wanted to draw out the exact reasons or suggestions that those people had. Communication is an everybody game. It's an elected member game. It's an all of staff game, and it can only take maybe just a couple of instances or incidents where someone's dissatisfied and then it can show in a pool of people this small.
It sort of, yeah, it seems to just show that our results can be skewed by the such minimal sort of input, or negative input, really, doesn't it? So, yeah.
Councillor Jeffries.
Thanks, Nadia, thanks. Good report. Then there's some good results in there. Just a couple of quickies. 4.8, the little table we've got there. The number of submissions, unhappy to be very unhappy. You've got 20 out of 130, but on the box to the side of it, they only add up to 10. Should that be 10 out of 130, or are there some things missing in that improvement suggestion box? That was the first question.
Okay.
And the second one was, I'm really interested to know how you calculate the margins of error.
Okay, I'll tackle the first one first. Not everyone who was satisfied or unsatisfied left a reason or an improvement, which is why that number varies. And in terms of the margin of error, I used a tool online to do that.
Oh, okay.
It's a calculator online that works out the margin of error.
Right. Have you got a link for that that I can get hold of?
Yep,
that'd be
absolutely.
great. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Prendergast. What are you going to use it for, Councillor Jeffries? I just want to see how it works.
Yeah.
Through you, your worship, just a comment regarding exactly that table there, and getting back to Councillor Johnson's comment before about the fitness centre and basically the advertising, how we know it's there. People put right into this to make sure that everyone knows that it's clear. So I assume the comments go out through Facebook and every other.
Thank you, Councillor. So our resolution is that Ōtorohanga District Council received the 23-24 annual satisfaction survey results report and the attached 23-24 annual survey report and improvement plan. Moved Councillor Jeffries, seconded Councillor Johnson. All in favour? Carried. Thanks, Nadia.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 197, finance report for 31 October 2024. That's on page 126. Brendan, welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, so this is the monthly finance report for the end of October. I will point out before I start, and it was pointed out to me yesterday, that something that's probably not quite clear in this is around the full year budget figures. So that full year budget is our working budget that we use, not the adopted LTP budget. Initially it is, but as we do things like carryovers and potentially actually approve other budgets that may not have originally been budgeted, that sort of stuff, they will end up in those figures. So if you're trying to tie these back, this Councillor Jeffries pointed out to me that it doesn't quite tie back to the LTP nowadays. So I'm going to make that more clear in the document going forward, and potentially also have another column with the adopted budget versus where our working budget is, so you can see how budgets have changed between the two going forward. So onto the comprehensive revenue and expenses. So our operating surplus to the end of October was about $2.5 million against a budget of 3.1. Most of that is actually in the revenue being slightly down on budget. The expenditure is only 50K under budget, so it's about bang on. In terms of the revenue, it's mostly in the subsidies, and that's just a timing issue with when the work's happening and when we're claiming for subsidies, compared to what it may have been in the previous year, which can be affected by weather and all that sort of stuff, particularly at roading. Everything else in there, it's a bit of an up and a down in the expenses between other expenses and finance costs, and they sort of even out, so we're about even in terms of expenditure. On the balance sheet, we've still got a healthy balance sheet, about $1.8 million of working capital. Current borrowings is still sitting at 10.4. So as we talk about later on, the next lot is due to be repaid with renewal in March. So we'll see how we're going in terms of whether we can repay it at that time. On to the next page, the combined cost of service statement. So you'll see here that revenue's under budget. So again, that comes back to the activity revenue from the income statement and the other general sources, which is your internal charging, which is again just a timing issue. And in terms of operating expenditure, that's slightly down, which is again timing related and internal charging as well. Capital, we're under budget by about 2.5 million compared to last month's report. I think we're slightly over budget, and that's because we've now brought through all those carryovers that you approved in the October meeting. So those are now sitting in that budget, both the full year and year-to-date budget. So we're now comparing against. And then in terms of cash flows, so cash flows to the end of October, we're about $2.4 million positive in our operating activities. So that's your day-to-day paying bills and getting money in sort of stuff. The investing, which is more your capital side of things, and your investments in, well, the investments in our cases, things like the airport, stuff like that. We're about $3,000 down because you don't get much in the way of income from our investing side of things, from our point of view. And then the financing, which is our borrowing. So we're up by about $1 million compared to where we were at the end of the year. So that gives us our cash at the end of the period of $2.7 million. And then just the bottom, just changed from last month, just the debt profile of where we're at, what the interest rates are. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Brendan. You look very smart today too, I might add. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Jeffries.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, just one question. Just, that's not a question, it's a comment, really. When a budget that has been approved is amended and say a budget expenditure item is moved from here over to here, who approves that?
So I guess,
sorry, just to interrupt. So where I'm coming from here is that when the council sets its budgets, if there's a variation to those during the year, I would have thought that at some stage we would be told about that.
So I guess it depends on the nature of the variation.
Yep.
So when you're setting a budget, you're setting it at a very high level. Within our system, we go right down to a GL level structure. So you have some general ledger lines to keep track of things. So if things are within the same activity and within the same general expense and are just moving between GL accounts, we probably wouldn't tell you that because it hasn't changed the overall budget that's been approved. If there was something where we needed more budget, then that would be the sort of thing we'd bring a report to you to say, hey, look, this is what we budgeted, but it's going to cost us more, so therefore, and that's where we'd come back to get more money approved. So the chief executive does have delegated authority for some unbudgeted spending up to $50,000, I think it is. So anything below that, she may not want to come back to you, but again, it's sort of her call. She may want to come to you depending on the nature of the actual thing. But within one activity, we probably wouldn't necessarily come back to council and let you know that we're moving things around because it's more an operational thing. Because the overall budget hasn't changed for that activity.
Yeah. I guess where I'm coming from here too is that if a budget's been approved for a specific job or specific work, and then at some stage a decision is made not to do that, but to move that money somewhere else and use that money somewhere else.
Yeah.
That would be a variation that I would have thought we should be interested in.
So through you, Your Worship, so the two examples I can think of where you have made the resolution to give us direction is around carry forwards and the roading budget. And they are the changes that have been made in the budgets. Everything else is basically, we have the delegation to move things around depending on circumstances and what's facing us, changes that happen. Whereas the two significant ones that have come back to you and you've given us that resolution to make those changes, that's carry forwards and the roading budget.
Yeah, look, I'm not disputing any of that. It's just generally, I was just interested in the process that is involved if you're moving budget figures around, irrespective of where they go to or where they come from.
If it's a project that you, so say for example,
Yeah.
we said we were going to redeck the Carfield Wharf this year. And then we looked at it and we thought, oh, it doesn't need redecking, it needs repiling. We would probably come to the community board or we'd come to somewhere,
Yep.
not necessarily to get approval, but just to say, hey, we've had a condition assessment done. It's showing that actually the piles are more important than the deck. You put $50,000 in the budget for that.
Yep.
We're going to repurpose that. Same asset. That sort of thing. But I guess there's a threshold, and it's not necessarily a financial threshold. It's a political threshold. It's a community interest threshold. If we promised we were going to do something and everyone's expecting us to do it, and then we change tack.
That's the point.
It's good for you to know that.
Yes, exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, so as Tony said, in those sort of cases, we would obviously go back to either council or the committee boards, depending on who it sits with. But just moving things within an activity might not necessarily come back to the nature of it.
Not happy with that. Thank you. Very good.
If no further questions, we have item 196 resolution that Ōtorohanga District Council received the 23-24 annual, no, wrong one, sorry. The Ōtorohanga District Council received the report titled Financial Report for the month ending 31st October 2024, document 789272 from Brendan McCallaghan, Finance Manager. I've moved that. Second, Councillor Tamaki, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you, Brendan. Thanks.
Yeah.
We'll now move on to councillor updates, and I will hand over to Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I took in the CE review. I went to the Elevate Economic Forum, which was very worthwhile, and just last week went to the combined sector and rural and provincial meetings in Wellington, which Tanya well covered with her notes. I took lots of notes too. Got a few bits and pieces, but I guess the take home from, very broadly is just the water's done well, and the importance of getting that across the line. There was Wayne Brown, the Mayor of Auckland. I found it very motivational, about looking at things in another way. Shane Jones is he's another awesome speaker. I find warning us that we were on the cusp of deindustrialization because of power prices. What a scary thought. But anyway, just a few little tidbits there. But I found it very useful, very interesting. So, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Prendergast.
Through you, Your Worship, 5th of November, there's an extra risk assurance meeting, 12th workshop, which we attended. It was Zone 2 in Hilton Gardens. And the 25th yesterday, we had a Maru luncheon, which was to thank everyone for their support, and they are particularly grateful to councillors that they come forward, and the work they're doing is amazing, and they are trying to increase their parameters, but they're in the very infancy of that, just trying to explore what it means. So yes, quiet enough.
Thank you, Councillor Tamaki.
Yeah, just had the CE review thing. The Elevate Forum, went to the Kawhia Community Board with the Ōtorohanga and Kawhia to support them as they presented to the Kawhia Community Board. So I hope it's all going well. Water well done. So looking at after the water well done workshop, talking with Stu Nebone around hiding up the waipa, starting right up at Piki in the new year for the JMA stuff. So hopefully we can invite everyone to come. We've got enough there for us to carry ourselves. Yeah, cool day.
Thank you. Councillor Willis.
Through you, Your Worship, congratulations to our staff for the wonderful reports. I have nothing to report.
Kia ora. Councillor Williams.
Your Worship. For council since the last one, there's the review committee, zone 2 in combined sector and rural and provincial, along with councillors already mentioned. And yes, Tanya's report was very thorough. I had my highlighter and I was going through my book to find out anything that she hadn't already mentioned. We, at both zone 2 and combined sector, one or the other of them, the work that Waikato is doing on the local water was acknowledged as being, yeah, the level of cooperation as an example to the rest of the country. And that was continued yesterday as well at the Mayoral Forum and iwi leaders, and encouraging people to keep working with not necessarily a one voice, but the same voice from all members that will come from that level of cooperation. And I also attended the college prize giving, which is, yeah, every year. I think it's an amazing group of young people that are moving out into the big wide world and the economic world.
Thank you. Councillor Christensen.
Just the community board meeting, the council mark, the sea review, and on Sunday I popped along to Artbeat. So I just want to congratulate them all on the amazing 2 days they provided for our community and actually showcased what that space can do for arts in our area. So yeah, and then I just thought I'd mention some coming up things. So we've got the Christmas market in town at the Island Reserve this Sunday. Next Friday, we've got our Christmas parade. And then from Sunday the 1st to Tuesday the 3rd from 5 p.m, if anyone's free, pop along to the Village Green, because I don't know if you've been down the walkway, they've started there, so it has been decorated. And then they'll be doing the Village Green and everything else. There's an amazing group of ladies that, yeah, Heather, our librarian, is one of them. Yeah, that have got, I've seen the decorations popping through on Messenger, and yeah, it's going to bring a lot of smiles to a lot of people this year. So if you can, pop along and help them. When you cross the pedestrians, look up, because they've also made some Christmas baskets that have been hung too.
Thank you. Councillor Down.
I haven't been doing much. I've been going to funerals and hospitals. So, lucky it wasn't my funeral, but yeah. But no, probably the only thing I did go to was Elevate, which was before I got to economic forum down, and I thought that was a really cool day. Yeah, I thought Andrew Hogarth was the ACT Party Federated Farmers guy, but it wasn't. It was a guy, a really inspiring guy, because I was thinking get inspired by a politician. That's going to be hard, but no, that guy was really good. I thought so. And Honey, the rugby, she was really awesome. Yeah, cool. But yeah, no, I'm repaired now. Hopefully, so I went onwards and upwards. So 25 is a great year, not 24.
Who would have thought there's two Andrew Hogarths? So I thought the same as you before I got there. Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, thank you, Bishop. Yeah, I haven't been up to too much either. On the 25th of October, I attended the highly anticipated opening of the new toilets at Windsor Park, which was so no, it wasn't. So a big thanks to Jared and Cassidy, Victoria and Tony for attending as well. So we had a little private ceremony and and then had a cup of tea afterwards. It was great, but we were expecting the Prime Minister of New Zealand and King Charles, but they didn't show, which was disappointing. And then they just had an extraordinary risk and assurance meeting on the 5th of November. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffries.
Well, nowhere near as exciting as Councillor Hughes is, but can I just say firstly to congratulate Tania for a successful review process, and I'm delighted to see that you're going to be with us for a while longer. Yeah. 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 Well, I'm not. I'm not trying to put pressure on the committee, but yeah. Anyway, yeah. No, well done. 4th of November, we had a housing committee that was a Zoom meeting. 5th of November, we had the Kiwi House discussion up top here with Chairman of the Risk and Insurance, Peter Stubbs was at that. 7th of November was the Carver Community Board. And then the 12th of November, we had that workshop here. 20th of November, we had the regulatory team visit Carver and Aotea. And that was a really neat day. And I just wanted to say to Tony and his team, what a great bunch of people. They really, I think they really enjoyed their day. Jeff, when we went out to Aotea, gave them a really good potted history of Aotea and a good show around, talking about the seawall and the big the old parsonage there and that sort of thing too. So I'm hoping that they had an enjoyable day and will come back and see us again at some stage. Yesterday, I was at the Maru Trust presentation along with Councillor Prendergast and made 1 or 2, I think, useful contacts there. Just so that you're aware, in early December, I'm having a meeting with Jeff Good, and he and I are going to meet with Sean Horgan from Waipa Networks. And on the agenda will be what Waipa Networks is intending to do to match the Maru Trust initiatives in the area that's not covered by the Lions Company. So that's definitely one of the things that we're going to be talking about. I did speak to another young fellow, Jonah, I just can't think of his last name now, who was one of the service providers, and he had a colleague with him and they've done, who had come from Auckland, and he talked about retrofitting houses, and I wasn't quite sure exactly what he meant. He's going to send me some information on that, but I gather that how it sort of worked, it would be that whatever the work entailed, that the council would advance the money for that, and then it would be repaid back through their rates, a little bit like they did with the Aotea seawall. Yeah. So I'm just interested to see how that works and whether that's a runner for us. I don't know. And yeah, just a heads up, the Carfield School have got its prize giving on the 12th of December. That's coming up on the 12th. And it's probably not appropriate to talk about it now, but I just wanted to raise at some stage the concerns about the bus service for the schools running to and from Carfield. So we'll talk about that at another time, I think. Yep. So thank you. That was me.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffries. Just to add something that Councillor Christensen talked about, and that there's art lead. I was there on weekend as well. It's really good. And Tanya and I went to presentation of the final farewell of Richard and Ruby Wallace, which was really, really interesting and scary.
Yeah.
Richard was showing a whole lot of his photos and that over the years, but as an 84-year-old, he's not quite as nimble and supple as he used to be, and you swear he's going to be knocking things over all the time. And blind and deaf. Yeah. Sorry, no offence, Richard, if you're listening to this, but it was noted. But it was a great presentation and some beautiful works that he's done in the past. But it's been brought to my attention by an incredibly aggrieved deputy mayor that she didn't have the opportunity to do her words of wisdom this morning. So before we go any further, please hand over to my deputy to have her opportunity to express her thoughts. Yeah.
I hope you're not going to be disappointed in the quality of the words then. Which was really only
that I had a recent confluence of reflections, and it was as the decoy was getting underway, and my own sadness that actually had to come to be. And I was reading of Thomas Edison's response to a journalist on how it felt to fail 1,000 times in his attempt to invent the incandescent light bulb. And his reply was, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. And yeah, just that we're on a journey of many steps, which hopefully will lead to more enlightenment and acceptance.
Thank you. We'll move on to the resolution register. So I'll hand over to Tanya, also on page 134.
Oh, my day in the sun. So, resolution register. So the first one is around the Ōtorohanga Rural Scheme. I can confirm that the information has gone to Taumata Arawai. Mark copied me in on that a couple of weeks ago. However, we did have a presentation from the Chief Executive of Taumata Arawai, and they are heeding the call that the regulations are too strict around these water schemes. So they are rapidly trying to come up with a point of use treatment process that's affordable, easy to install, etc. So we believe that we've played a small part in that. Mark's attended quite a few hui on that subject. So we'll keep it on there, but you know, things may progress in a different direction there. The next lot of resolutions are also staying on there, and they're around Waikato Water Done Well. So I just got an email from the Chief Executive of Waipa District Council, and the council this morning have adopted the heads of agreement and unanimously agreed to move directly to stage 2. So there's 2 other councils making a decision today, Waitomo being one, and can't remember the other one. Can't remember. Anyway, one of the others making a decision today. But we'll leave ours on because we'll bring our report to you on the 10th of December around the heads of agreement. Next lot of resolutions are local alcohol policy that's coming off. The annual report is coming off. The rural park resolutions are coming off. The next one is around the waste contract. So we've got some parts of that are yet to be implemented. So we're recommending that stays on. Next one's around carry forwards that can come off. The temporary road closures for, I think that was Christmas parade, wasn't it? That can come off. And then road naming and numbering policy saying that can come as well. Any questions?
No questions. We have the resolution that Ōtorohanga District Council confirmed the removal of resolutions C 279, 285, 286, 288, 289 from the register. I'd like to move that. Secondly, Councillor Hughes. All in favour? Thank you. Now, just move that we'll adjourn the meeting for 5 minutes before we go into public excluded. She's here. Okay.
Just before next, but this resolution C290, but that you didn't read out C290. It says his connection start back into removing.
Was it road
The
name?
last one.
Road
Yeah,
name
road
and number?
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't hear either. Yeah, because on this here, remove it just goes up to C28.
Oh.
Yeah,
Not-
come on. Yeah.
Is it not there?
Mine says removal resolution 279
Oh, I see. Oh, 290 is not in the actual recommendation.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
Housekeeping.
So we need to add that. Kathy's added
Good
that.
housekeeping.
Thank you. No, that's good spotting. Thank you.
Just one more. Yeah. And then
So to let you move.
No, we'll add that. Yeah.
you're right.
The other thing is we'll circle back to the public forum after you've done the public excluded part of the meeting, all right?
So take 5 minutes, councillors, and Robin's here. When we come back, we'll move into public excluded. Thought everyone, I'll just move that we come out of public, reconvene the meeting, my apologies. And we're now going to go into public excluded, so I'd like to bid farewell to those, the public that are watching online. And I'll move now that we go into public excluded, seconded by Councillor Williams. All in favour? Carried, thank you. And I'd also like to